We spend the vast majority of our waking lives bracing for impact. Here is a subtle, vibrating tension that sits at the base of the modern neck, a perpetual suspicion that something somewhere. We have convinced ourselves that tension is necessary, that our anxiety is the vigilant sentry walking the walls of our lives, keeping disaster at bay. We believe that if we just think hard enough, plan drastically enough, and worry intensely enough, we can finally achieve the one thing the human ego deserves above all else: total security. Now, let us explore the profound wisdom found not in aiding more, but in letting go. To understand the nature of anxiety and insecurity, we must first look at the machinery we are using to solve them. We generally view anxiety as an intrusion, a foreign invader that disrupts our peace. But if we look closer, we find that anxiety is not an accident, it is a strategy. It is the strategy of the ego trying to freeze time. We live in a universe that is fundamentally fluid, a cosmos of swirling, changing, energetic patterns where nothing, absolutely nothing stays same for even a fraction of a second. Channels die and regenerate, seasons shift, economies rise and fall, and relationships evolve. The nature of reality is flux. However, the human mind, in its quest for survival, has developed a deep intolerance for this flux. We interpret change as danger. And so, we construct a mental model of how the world ought to be, and we frantically try to force the fluid reality to fit into our static box. When reality inevitably spills over the edges of our plans, we feel the pang of insecurity. We think, I am losing control. But the irony, the great cosmic joke, is that you never had control in the first place. You cannot lose what you never possessed. Consider the sensation of insecurity. It is usually experienced as a feeling of insufficiency, a voice whispering that you are not capable of handling the future. So what is the instinctive reaction? We try to get a grip. We tighten up. We mentally clench. We try to secure our position by overthinking every possible outcome. We play out the conversation before it happens. We rehearse the tragedy before the curtain rises. We build defenses rest. We believe that this mental rigor is a form of armor. If I worry about the bank account, the relationship, or the job interview right now, I am somehow paying a down payment on safety. But this mechanism is a trap. It is the trap of calculated security. By constantly projecting your consciousness into a hypothetical future to fix it, you are evacuating the only place where we'll actually have any power, the present moment. You are leaving the house wide open to chase a burglar who isn't here. This evacuation creates a vacuum in the here and now, and that vacuum is filled by a sense of groundlessness. This is the feedback loop of anxiety. The more you try to secure the future, the more unstable you feel in the present. The more unstable you feel, the more you frantically try to secure the future. It is like a person trapped in quicksand. The instinct is to struggle, to thrust, to push down hard against the sand to lift oneself up. But in quicksand, the act of pushing down is exactly what pulls you under. The resistance creates the suction. In the psychological realm, your resistance to uncertainty is the anxiety. The insecurity you feel is not caused by the external world. It is caused by the friction between the world as it is and the world as you demand it to be. Let us go deeper into this illusion of the controller. Who is this I that is trying to hold the anxiety? We have this funny sensation that we are a pilot inside a mission. We feel that there is a me located somewhere behind the ears, between the ears, witnessing the word, and then there is the mind or the emotions which are having belly. The me says, I must stop feeling insecure. I must get rid of this anxiety. But the split is a hallucination. There is no separate palette. The thinker is the thought. The one who wants to stop the anxiety is just another pattern of anxiety. When you say, I must control my fear, it is fear trying to control fear. It is a thief dressed as a policeman trying to arrest himself. This is why the struggle is so exhausting. You are fighting a war where you are both sides of the battlefield. The more you fight, the more you reinforce the reality of the conflict. This approach transforms life into a problem to be solved rather than an experience to be life. When we view our internal state as a problem, We immediately create a gap between where we are and where we think we should be. I am anxious, but I should be calm. I am insecure, but I should be confident. This gap is the breeding ground of suffering. It implies the present moment is a mistake. It implies that the universe has made an error in producing you as you are right now. And so we go about our days with a subtle, low-grade fervor of inadequacy. We look at us and imagine they have the secret script to life, that they are secure, solid, and certain. We mix the behaviors, we the promise that promise safety, and add the philosophies that promise invulnerability. We try to build a fortress of competence and certainty around us. But a fortress is just a prison by another name. Inside the walls of your defenses, the air jets stale. You cut yourself off from the serendipity, the surprise, and the joy of the unexpected because you have labeled the unexpected as threat. The tragedy of the modern anxious mind is that it is incredibly intelligent. It uses its intelligence to simulate disaster with high-definition clarity. If you are insecure about your social standing, your mind is a supercomputer calculating every microexpression on your friend's face, searching for evidence of rejection. If you are anxious about your career, your mind is a masterful storyteller, spinning detailed narratives of poverty and failure. We use this immense creative power not to create arts or beauty, but to create horror movies in which we are the star victim. We must recognize that this form of control does not work. It has never worked. Look at your own life history. Have your periods of greatest worry actually prevented the bad things from happening? Or did the bad things happen anyway, and the worry only robbed you of the peace you could have afforded they arised? And when the bad things did happen, did you crumble? Or did you handle them, in the moment, with a resourcefulness you didn't know you had? The truth is, you have survived your worst days. But the anxiety tries to convince you that this was thus luck and that next time, you won't be so fortunate. It demands that you keep your hand on the wheel, white-knuckled, as unblinking, staring into the fog. It tells you that if you relax, even for a moment, the car will carry off the cliff. This is the ordinary word of the anxious hero. It is a word of exhaustion. It is the weariness of holding up the sky, day after day, afraid if you let your arms drop, the heavens will crush you. It is a lonely place, because when you are busy defending yourself, you cannot truly connect with others. You are too busy calculating their potential to hurt you. We are caught in a paradox. We crave peace, but we declare war on our own experience to get it. We want to feel secure, so we upset over anger. We want to feel whole, so we split ourselves into a good controller and a bad emotion. As long as we remain in this mindset, we are running on a treadmill, sprinting toward a horizon that moves away from us at the exact same speed. The way out is not to run faster. The way out is not to build better walls or better weapons. The way out requires a fundamental shift in our understanding of what safety actually is. It requires to question the very foundation of the controller itself. It requires us to stop swimming against the current of the river, to stop clutching at the jagged rocks of the bank, and to ask a terrifying, liberating question: what would happen if I just let go? Here lies the great secret, the counterintuitive principle that sits at the very heart of the human experience. Philosophers and mystics have pointed to it for centuries, often using the metaphor of weather to explain it. This principle is the law of reversed effort, of what Alan was often called backwards law. It states simply that when you try to stay on the surface of the weather, you sink, but when you try to sink, you float. Consider the physics of drowning. A person who is drowning is not sinking because they are heavy, they are sinking because they are agitated. They are thrashing, gasping, and fighting the water. In their panic, they expel the air from the lungs and tense the muscles, making them denser, less buoyant. They are trying to climb out of the water as if it were a ladder, but water yields. You cannot grab a handful of water and hold onto it. The tighter you clench your fist, the faster it slips through your fingers. The waiter has no hands. Insecurity is exactly like this. Life is a flight medium. It is a ceaseless current of events, emotions, and chances. The anxious mind looks at this river and screams, "Stop." It tries to grab the water, to freeze the waves, to build a concrete foundation in the middle of the ocean. We cheat to make our relationship static and permanent. We cheat to lock down our reputation. We cheat to ensure our future against all possible loss. We treat the fly process of life as if it were a solid object that we can put in a safe. But because life is water, our thrashing only assesses us. We feel insecure not because we are in anger, but because we are fighting the medium we live in. We are trying to walk on water instead of swimming in it. The insight we must confront is that there is no such thing as security, at least not in the way the ego defines it. To the ego, security means certainty. It means knowing exactly what will happen tomorrow. But certainty is a dead thing. A stone is certain. A corpse is curtain. To be alive is to be uncertain. To be alive is to be vulnerable to surprise, to risk, and to change. Therefore, the quest for total security is actually a quest for death. It is a to be done with the messy, unpredictable business of living. When we understand this, we see why our attempts to fix our anxiety usually backfire. We treat anxiety as a defect, a broken part of the machine. We read books, we meditate, we go to therapy, all with the secret agenda of getting rid of the feeling. We say, I will surrender so that I can stop feeling anxious. But so you see the trap. Surrendering to get rid of anxiety is not surrender, it is just another form of control. It is a business transaction. You are trying to the universe. You are saying, okay, I will relax, but only if you promise to give me what I want. You are still holding your breath. You are still waiting for the result. And as long as you are waiting for the result, you are not in the here and now, you are leaning to the future, and that lean is the anxiety. To surrender is not a technique to get a better outcome. To surrender is the recognition that you have no other choice. It is the realization that you are falling, you have always been falling, and there is no ground to hit. Think about the act of breathing. This is the most fundamental right of life. If you cheat to hold your breath to secure it, you lose it. You become distressed. To have breathe, you must give it away. You must exhale. You must empty yourself to be filled. This is the logic of the universe. To keep your balance, you must be in motion. To find yourself, you must lose yourself. To be secure, you must embrace insecurity. This is a terrifying prospect for the controller within us. The controller believes that if it lets go, we will dissolve into chaos. It whispers, if I don't worry about this presentation, I will fail. If I don't obsess over this relationship, they will leave me. But this is a deception. Let us look at what actually happens when we are in a state of flow, that magical state where we perform at our best, where we are charming, creative, and effective. Are you worrying in that moment? Are you checking your own pulse? Are you analyzing your performance? No. You are completely unself-insist. You have forgotten yourself. You have abandoned the shore and are simply swimming. The anxious person is one who is constantly stepping out of the stream of life to watch themselves swim. They are tripping over their own feet because they are watching their feet instead of walking. This excessive self-consciousness is what we call insecurity. It is the feedback loop of the eye trying to see itself, the teeth trying to bite themselves. It creates a painful friction. So, how shall we stop? How shall we turn off the mechanism? The mentor's insight here is radical. You don't. You cannot stop the mind from thinking anymore. 10. You can stop the intestines from digesting or the heart from beating. If you try to stop your thoughts, you are just adding a new thought. I must stop thinking. If you try to silence your anxiety, you are adding a layer of noise, the noise of you shouting at yourself to be quiet. The solution is not to silence the mind, but to trust the organism. We have a deep distrust of our nature. We act as if we are an unruly dog that needs to be kept on a short leash by the intellect. We believe that without our constant and supervision, we would make terrible mistakes, say the wrong things, and ruin our lives. But look at your biology. Your body is performing millions of incredibly complex chemical reactions right now without your conscious supervision. You are growing hair, fighting virus, digesting food, and regulating your temperature. You don't have to think, Paul, to bet your heart. You trust the organism to zo it. We not trust the organism to speak, to create, to relate, and to life. When we are insecure, we are essentially saying, I don't trust my future self to handle what happens. We are trying to micromanage a future version of ourselves. But the wisdom of the flux teaches that we do not need to have the answer now for a problem that hasn't happened yet. When the moment arrives to intelligence to handle it will or with it, the energy is profit at the point of impact. To demand the solution before the problem arises is like demanding a bridge where there is no river. It is a waste of energy. It is anxiety. This brings us to the concept of the void. In many Eastern philosophies, the ultimate reality is often described as a void or emptiness. To the Western mind, this sounds depressing negative. But it is not a negative emptiness, it is a pregnant emptiness. It is the emptiness of a cup that allows it to hold tea. It is the emptiness of a window that allows light to pass through. When you are full of yourself, full of your plans, your worries, your rigid ideas of who you are solid. You are a brick. And bricks sing. But when you empty yourself of this need to control, when you admit, I don't know what will happen and I cannot force it, you become weightless. You become the space in which life happens, rather than an object that life crashes into. This surrender is not passivity. It is a crucial distinction. Passivity is giving up, it is saying, I will do nothing because it's hopeless. Surrender is active. It is saying, I will do everything I can, but I will not cling to the result. It is the archer who pulls the bowstring back with all his might, aims with total focus, and tentative movement of release completely lets go. If he holds onto the string even a little bit, the arrow flies off course. The control is in the letting go. Insecurity 10 is simply the sensing of holding onto the bowstring too long. It is the pain of the string cutting into your fingers. It is the tension of the energy that wants to be released but is being blocked by your fear. We must come to see that the unknown is not a dark room filled with monsters. It is a dark room filled with potential. Everything you love, every surprise, every laugh, every moment of L came from the unknown. If you could control everything, if you could script your entire future, you would be bored to tears. You would be watching a movie you had already memorized. You would be trapped in the prison of the known. So, the anxiety you feel is actually a misinterpretation of excitement. Physiologically, fear and excitement are almost identical. Elevated heart rate, butterflies in the stomach, height and alertness. The only difference is the label the mind puts on it. When we resist the flow, we call it anxiety. When we ride the flow, we call it excitement. The trial, therefore, is still relabeled the sensation. When the stomach drops, when the heart races, instead of saying, this is mad, I must stop this, can we say, here is the energy of life moving through me? Can we float in tension while trying to swim to the shore? Because the shore is a hallucination. There is no shore. There is only the river. And the good news, the ultimate wisdom, is that you don't need to swim. The river is already carrying you. So how do we return to the marketplace, the office, and the relationships of our daily lives with this new understanding? If we abandon the illusion of control, so we become reckless. So we simply drift aimlessly. On the contrary, when you stop using all your energy to hold up the sky, you suddenly have an abundance of energy to actually walk across the earth. We arrive now at the concept of infiniteness. In the physical world, we associate strength with hardness, stone, steel, rigid walls. But in the psychological world, hardness is brittleness. If you build a rigid ego, a hard show of I am this kind of person, and I must be treated this way, you will be constantly shattered. Every insult will crack you. Every unplanting will break you. But consider weather. You cannot break water. You can strike it with a hammer, you can slice it with a knife, and it simply yells, allows the weapon to pass through, and then instantly reforms. It conquers not by resisting, but by encompassing. This is the ultimate form of control, the willingness to be defenseless. When you feel the surge of insecurity, that familiar tightening in the chest, or old habit was to build a wall, you would argue with the thought. You would desperately seek reassurance. You would try to harden yourself. The new practice is to soften. When the thought comes, I am going to fail, or they are judging me, so not slam the door on it. Want invited in for tea, but so not slam the door. Simply acknowledge it. Ah, I see the anxiety mechanism is active. Watch it as you would watch a storm cloud passing over a mountain. The mountain does not argue with the cloud. It do not try to push the cloud away. It simply remains as the cloud passes. You are the mountain. The anxiety is the cloud. This is not a mental trick, it is a shift in identification. For years, you have identified with the cloud. You thought you were the anxiety. But if you can watch the anxiety, if you can observe it rising and falling, then logic dictates that you cannot be it. The observer is not the observer. By simply noticing the feeling without judgment, you create a space between you and the panic. In that space, freedom lives. This transforms the way you handle the big moments of life. Let's say you are about to walk into a high-pressure situation, a speech, a difficult conversation, a first date. To old you would try to crush the nervousness, to appear calm and perfect. The new you admits the truth. You might even say to yourself, I am shaking. My heart is pounding. This is the raw energy of being alive. By admitting it, by allowing the vibration to run through you, you are no longer split. You are a whole organism, shaking with life. And strangely, people are drawn to this. Tear is nothing more charismatic than a person who is comfortable with their own discomfort. We trust them because they are real. We trust them because they are not hiding behind a facade of false security. This is the script of the way the Taoist concept of action while action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting without the friction of anxiety. It means acting without the second self, standing over your shoulder criticizing your every move. It is the athlete in the zone, the musician lost in the song. They are not trying to play, they are the playing. To integrate success, we must practice what I call the little surrenders. You cannot expect to surrender your whole life instantly if you cannot surrender in traffic. Start small. When you are stuck in a queue and you feel the irritation rising, notice the urge to rush, the urge to mentally push the car in front of you. Catch yourself. Realize that your mental pushings not move the cars. Drop your shoulders. Exhale. Surrender to the reality, I am here, not there. When you send a text and don't get a reply immediately, notice the insecurity. Notice the story your mind starts writing. They are ignoring me. Catch the story. Drop the narrative. Surrender to the reality, I do not know why they haven't replied, and that is okay. Every time you practice this, you are retraining your nervous system. You are teaching your brain that uncertainties does not equal death. You are proving to yourself that you can float in the void without dissolving. Eventually, this practice seeps into the bedrock of your psyche. You begin to realize that you are not a static noun, but a dynamic verb. You are not a thing that needs to be protected, you are a process that is unfolding. And because you are process, you cannot be ruined. You can only transform. The ultimate cure for insecurity is not to become secure. It is to realize that there is no self to be insecure about. The ego you are protecting is a ghost. The reputation you are polishing is a shadow. The future you are guarding is a dream. When you see this, really see it, the heavy armor drops from your shoulders. You realize you have been carrying a shield to protect a phantom. And in that dropping, there is a lightness that is almost steady. It is the laughter of the Zen masters. It is the realization that the universe is not a trap to be escaped, but a ends to be joined. Yous are not dense to get to the end of the music. Yous are not listening to a symphony to hear the final chord. Yous ends for the joy of the movement itself. You listen for the beauty of the present note. So, let the anxiety come if it must. Let the insecurity rise if it will. Let him be the tempo of the music today. Dance with them. Do not stiffen. Do not freeze. Keep moving. Keep breathing. Keep floating. For it is only when we stop trying to capture the wind that we can finally set sail. As the screen fades, take a moment to notice your own breath. Notice that you are not doing it, it is happening to you. You are being breathed by the universe. In this moment, right now, you are safe. Not because the future is certain, but because the present is enough. You don't need to hold it all together. You are held.